Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into something truly fascinating, how trees actually act as these silent, living libraries that have essentially witnessed the entire span of human civilization. We're calling it Animaterra, how trees record human history. Right off the bat, I want you to just take a second and think about this idea. Time moves differently here. Because to really understand these ancient trees, we have to completely throw out our normal, everyday sense of time. When you walk into an ancient forest, you can almost feel it, right? This distinct slowness. For them, time isn't an enemy. It's just the medium they grow through. So let's jump right in and meet the actual volumes in our living library. These are the record holders, the true giants of deep time. Okay, check out this number. 1,385 tons. That's the estimated weight of just one single giant sequoia out in California, known as General Sherman. And to put that absolutely massive scale into perspective for a second, that is equal to the weight of 10 fully loaded Boeing 747 airplanes. 10 of them, all in a single tree that's alive right now, just quietly enduring. And you know what's wild? Their resilience completely matches their size. They have bark that's 60 centimeters thick. But they don't just survive extreme flames, they literally need fire to survive. It acts as a kind of midwife. The intense heat actually triggers their cones to open, which drops seeds onto the freshly cleared, super fertile soil left behind by the flames. They've basically hacked the system of destruction to guarantee they stick around for millennia. But if we want to talk about true age, we have to talk about 5,000 years. Way up high in the harsh, wind-blasted White Mountains of California, where the soil is terrible and it can snow literally any month of the year, lives a bristlecone pine named Methuselah. Clinging to life in those brutal conditions for 5 millennia makes it the oldest known living individual tree on our entire planet. And to really wrap your head around 5,000 years, let's look at it like this. Methuselah was already a staggering 2,000 years old when the Egyptian pyramids were being built. Think about that. It just quietly grew through the peak of the Roman Empire, it survived massive volcanic winters, and it's been there for literally every human discovery since. It's a living, breathing witness to basically all of recorded human history. Now, halfway across the world in Madagascar, the ancient baobab tree records history in its own completely unique way. These guys can live over 2,000 years. They have these massively swollen trunks that can store up to 120,000 liters of water, which supports entire ecosystems of elephants, bats, and birds. But what's really crazy is that humans have used their naturally hollowed-out trunks over the centuries for physical infrastructure. We're talking everything from actual bus shelters and prisons to bars. And oh man, we absolutely cannot skip the dragon blood tree of Socotra Island in Yemen. It evolved completely in isolation, creating this wild, flat, umbrella-like canopy just to capture mist from the air. And true to its name, if you cut it, it bleeds a deep crimson resin. Humans have been harvesting this stuff for centuries, for medicine, for dye, and incredibly, it was even used as the secret ingredient in the varnish that gave the legendary Stradivarius violins their unmatched sound. So, moving on to reading the living archive, you're probably wondering, how exactly do these silent giants actually document our history? Well, it all comes down to this incredible science called dendrochronology. It's the method of reading and dating tree rings. Basically, every tree that lives long enough becomes a literal diary written in wood. It gives us highly precise climate data from thousands of years before we ever had weather stations or satellites. And it's like a giant puzzle. You can clearly see how trees physically expand during the good times, leaving these nice wide rings that tell us there was abundant rain, sun, and warmth. But then, during brutal environmental hardships like extreme droughts, disease, or bitter cold, the tree tightly conserves its energy. That leaves very narrow rings. By tracking these patterns, researchers can map out exactly what early human civilizations were dealing with. Here's a really mind-blowing example. Hidden right inside the rings of an ancient bristlecone pine, scientists found a severely narrow ring that matched perfectly with the year 536 AD. That was the year a massive volcanic eruption basically plunged the Earth into an 18-month winter. Crops failed everywhere. Civilizations totally collapsed. It's often called the absolute worst year in human history. And we have physical, biological proof of it permanently recorded in a tree that was already old when it happened. But we do have to talk about the burning library, because unfortunately, these irreplaceable historical records are facing some totally unprecedented modern threats right now. And the reality of human-driven climate change here is just sobering. Remember earlier when I said giant sequoias love and actually need fire? Well, actually, scratch that. Today's hotter, faster megafires are a totally different beast. They're burning so intensely that they're breaching that legendary 60-centimeter bark. In just one single season back in 2021, these modern fires wiped out an estimated 10 to 20% of all mature giant sequoias on Earth. It's a remarkably similar story over in Madagascar. Shifting rainfall patterns and these severe, prolonged droughts are causing massive 2,000-year-old baobabs to literally rot from the inside out and just collapse. They are dying on our watch, guys. And when they fall, they take 2 millennia of undocumented climate history with them forever. Okay, but saving our oldest historians. We need to talk about that, because there absolutely is hope, and active intervention is shifting to protect these vital witnesses to time. People are really stepping up to take immediate action. We've got dedicated scientists out there conducting restoration plantings of brand new sequoias in California. They're running specialized nurseries in Madagascar to make sure the next generation of baobabs can take root. And they are fiercely protecting ancient bristlecone forests, even keeping their exact locations a total secret, just to ensure they can keep recording the climate data of tomorrow. You know, standing in front of a 3,000-year-old tree offers this profound recalibration of who we are. As the quote goes, "You are a visitor, a brief one, in a very long story." It reminds us that we really aren't the center of the world. We are just brief visitors in a narrative that these trees have been quietly documenting since long before we ever arrived. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, really humbling thought. Trees don't hurry, and they don't worry. They just grow. One ring, 1 year, 1 century at a time, patiently waiting to record the next chapter of human history. So what kind of world are we going to leave behind for them to remember? Thanks so much for exploring this with me today. Keep learning and keep looking at the world with a sense of wonder.